And so the Duke of Tears retired to the obsidian halls of Heru and sat upon his throne built of microphone bones and contemplated the design of the pocket universe.
Like a gun butt, bugger bust up, bangers throw his chest up, pulling they sweats up, so he's giving sex up. Whoever's next up, better get a chest up.
On the boulevard of broken dreams, when niggas scheme, attracted to the glisten gleam of the triple beam. The angel Gabriel appeared to me through my TV and asked if we could maybe see who was the ultimate MC. The battle was cataclysmic, causing waters to rise and flood the planet. Gigantic were the waves. I caused the earth to quake for 40 nights and 40 days. Amazed, I left the haze that lasted 7 days. By the time I was through, I had already won. He blew his horn and it was born. I was indeed the champion. I called the sun and I was done. Mind heavy like a ton with a razor tongue. That's how the battle gets won in pocket universe.
What hit you like a gun butt? Bugger bust up, bangers throw his chest up, pulling they sweats up, so he's giving sex up. Whoever's next up, better get a chest up.
I make the pussy percolate when I make an appearance, cause interference, cause a clearance, bringing police appearance. Hip hop is getting old, the children done turn cold. We about to make the final turn up on the grassy knoll. It's time to pay the toll, just like the cable toll. Like many men before, they chose to do but Joe. Please hear what I say, that there's another way, that we can still win the war, overcome the grave. They resurrect the slave, that's what they want today. They want you picking cotton, fetching water, baling hay. That's all in your mind, brother, we way behind. We the national treasure, is there a map to find? What if I could rewind? My life will make a drastic climb to the stars. Without the stripes, yeah, right, niggas is wheeling pipes. This is a plight that goes on in the dawn, through the night, in the dark, in the heart of pocket universe.
What hit you like a gun butt? Bugger bust up, bangers throw his chest up, pulling they sweats up, so he's giving sex up. Whoever's next up, better get a chest up.
He in the heart of man, he like to understand, and why he need to go and conquer many foreign lands, and why he need to kill, and why he need fulfill, and why the urge to dominate and overcome the will. If there's a way I will, I wanna give a still. Do I keep what I kill, or do I give it back? Can I reanimate and maybe, baby, charge it back? It's like most rappers lacking then, and then on top of that, they lead the people down the wrong track, still selling crack. They teach you how to chop that, box that, and rock that. Break off the wet, then you go and rock that. If you ask for a job, then they tell you stop that. Gotta walk with cheesecake with a backpack that's maybe full of rocks with razor socks and got a hot back. I'm like the boondocks with dreadlocks and feathers, Jack. I'm the Duke of Tears, I still remember that within the universe.
What hit you like a gun butt? Bugger bust up, bangers throw his chest up, pulling they sweats up, so he's giving sex up. Whoever's next up, better get a chest up. What hit you like a gun butt? Bugger bust up, bangers throw his chest up, pulling they sweats up, so he's giving sex up. Whoever's next up, better get a chest up.
That's a 9:30 I'm on. Lay down. Yeah. Peace, human families of the planet Earth. You're now tuned in live to Super Heru Radio. I am your host, I've the Duke of Tears, along with my co-host, Alina, the Empress of 10,000 Years. All of the ancestors coming in from the outer regions, as well as all of the ancestors that exist within and around, the earth girdling our progress. So you want to say love and light to them, love and light to any first-time listeners, first-time callers. We definitely want to send our support. Thank you for supporting the show. And that's that. Inshallah, everybody is hearing me loud and clear. Inshallah, anybody in the chat room, please, if if I start to go in and out, you know how they do it sometimes. Please let me know. I don't know how many people saw the Grammys last night, but I'll say this. I'm really over the mass satanic rituals. Let me repeat that. I'm really over the mass satanic rituals. It's like, come on. It's like, how many ways are you going to show me how much you love Lucifer? You know what I'm saying? It's like, how many different ways can you come up with ways to show me how much you like supporting anything that's opposite of yourself? I'm not going to waste your time with a play-by-play breakdown. But what I will say is that everybody know Kendrick was robbed by a dude, another Eminem, right, with way less skill. You know, Macklemore, Eminem, like, you know, it's a consistent ritual I see with these people. But the thing about it, I'll take Eminem over that dude any day. But it's interesting that Kendrick was robbed by a dude whose album name was The Heist. Very interesting symbolism to me. And then to complete the ritual, the dude sent him a text talking, I'm sorry I robbed you. So again, these people know they what agenda they serving. They know exactly how things are supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And inshallah, inshallah, it's a situation where once you're involved in a system like that, you got to toe the line. So if it's not for you this year, it's going to be for you next year. You know what I'm saying? To me, it was very interesting. But his performance with Imagine Dragons, again, very interesting symbolism, was incredible. I actually felt the vibration raise to a certain degree, especially when he started beating the drum at the end. So like I said, symbolically, a lot of stuff was definitely going on with that. I'm not going to get into the whole Katy Perry satanic thing. I'm not going to get into the Madonna, Quaker, Maltese cross thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, certain shit is like, if you don't know what all that stuff mean by now, it's like you might as well just kill yourself, because most of this stuff is so rampant and so basic now. Got to constantly do the same thing. So why is redundancy so important in ritual? Does anybody know? Has anybody ever thought about that? Why redundancy in the ritual? Well, redundancy creates quantum fissure. And in that's like, you ever had a situation where there's one item of clothing or there's one item that you always have that you could never find. You know what I mean? Whether it be keys, a pair of shoes, a certain shirt. You know what I mean? Like, ask yourself this: where do all of the socks go in the laundry? When you do the laundry, how come you can find every piece of clothes but the same pair of socks? You know what I'm saying? Like, we think those things are trivial, but these things really are a part of the mystery of the world that we live in. Those little quantum fissures or those little quantum redundancies are almost landmarks for you to do the knowledge to certain things. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's really good, Rob. Somebody, the noble in the chat room said, yeah, Macklemore is Macklemore. Yes, he is. He's a Macklemore. Word. That's a really good one. You know what I mean? He almost looked as stupid as Pharrell in that hat. But, again, you know, regards to who or what, these somewhat idiotic-looking appearances create situations, though, that turn into conversational ripples, because regards to how much people, or he felt he looked stupid, everybody was talking about him the next day. And half of the ritual is about those people always being on the lips and minds of the unanchored. When you see and read about old mythology and stuff about the gods and how they were able to thrive off of the prayers of the people, it's the same thing happening with these people. You see what I'm saying? They have been put up. Hollywood has created a pseudo-aristocracy for all people to pay attention to and get caught up in. So based on that, they have set up likes, you know, like likes, friend requests, Twitter followers, anything that the basic humans, or what they call the goyim, basically give their energy to in the form of interest, is transliterated by them as prayer. And these people treat these people like gods. They see them, they scream for them, they pass out. When they see them, right, they'll camp out, sleep in the street. You know what I'm saying? Tattoo images of these people on their bodies. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, kill people if they try to disrespect them. Their idol. You understand? So idolatry is one of the ways that the redundancy of the ritual continues. The redundancy of the ritual is used to build up the so-called psychic energy that they want the people to commiserate with. So the biggest ritual they did was the mass gay ritual, where they used your queen, well, not your queen, but the former queen of hip-hop, King Latifah, and used her as the fat black mammy, or the mommy waka, or whatever you want to say, or whatever black queen you want to represent, or a portal or a black hole, to bring about the energy to do the mass wedding, you know what I mean, with all the gay people. Therefore, in that, the way that they have worked the homosexual thing now as a military agenda is that is the new civil rights. So they got it where gay is the new black to them. So it's more profitable and more acceptable to be a gay activist. You see what I'm saying? Than a so-called black activist. You don't even hear that term no more. When the last time you heard somebody use the term black activist? You don't even hear that. People been gave that up. You see what I'm saying? Because in the present climate, agreed upon sexual preference of the so-called New World Order is homosexuality. So they're trying to pump it through the cartoons. They try to pump it in the military, where they're trying to justify rape as another aspect or useful aspect of war, like torture. And I told you that. I said, if you let these people say that torture is okay, they're going to start saying rape is okay, and after that, it's pedophilia. And ain't that what they doing? I said that like 3 years ago. And they doing that. So then you got all of a sudden they had this big stink about how many black women on SNL. So they get the color-struck Negro, Kel, on the show to say, oh, well, that's because black women ain't funny. That's a damn lie. But whatever. He married to a white woman, so he going to say whatever he need to say. So in that, right after that, I noticed with this 12 years a slave thing, boom, we get Lapita. Right? The beautiful dark-skinned girl, you know what I mean, who happened to go to Yale, whose pops happened to be an old warlord that wound up making enough bread off all the people he killed to send his daughter to have a better education amongst these skull and bones niggas. Right? And every picture I see her with, the last time I seen her with a black man or black woman in the picture was in the damn movie, 12 Years a Slave. Every picture I see her with now is all white dudes. They got her always with white. Every picture I see her, she with a damn white dude. Or she's standing by herself. And they link her to Jared Leto. Right? They link her to this dude, to that dude. You know what I mean? Because she's making her rounds. Because what that's saying to me now, okay, so it's okay for a woman from Africa to have her own hair, and y'all give her work so long as she be with a white man in real life, right? But a so-called black woman here from America who want to have her own hair and all that, it's totally different. Like Django is totally different than 12 Years as a Slave, and the difference is the mentality of the slavery. These people were allegedly imported from Africa, whereas Django were the so-called Moors that was already in Africa, aka America, and were now freeing themselves. Now, if you ask me, I'm done with any movie. I'm done with any movie that's depicting people or us as slaves. I mean, we should be over it. We should be over it by now, right? Not over the fact of what happened, but over the fact that they constantly are showing you one side of the whole thing. You as the victim. You as the victim. There were more riots unreported in which free blacks and Moors or whoever fought for their own freedom and took over plantations and all of that than we even could imagine. But they never listed those. And based on the education system, people don't research stuff beyond the main topic of what they're researching. So they're not going to dig into those type of things. So all of this rape and torture that they've convinced their soldiers and stuff to be and do, this is what they're now perpetuating in the land. So the domesticated Negroes, as well as the happy colonial blacks, are standing by while these people are destroying elements of world society to such a degree that there's almost no coming back. They just had a ritual in Denmark, similar to a ritual they do in Japan, where these dolphins come into this certain bay to pod and spawn, and they jump in the water and stab and kill them to where the water is running red with pieces of dolphin and stuff all over the place. These white males who do this in Denmark. They also do it in Japan, but in Japan, they machine gun them. Why? They say, oh, this is an ancient custom. So you saying your ancient forefathers had some sort of war with dolphins where now to this day you got to still run in the water and slaughter them, knowing that they're one of the most intelligent life forms on the planet? That's a form of bestiality. Rampant murder of animals is bestiality too, because some people get off sexually and doing shit like that to lower life forms. So is it any wonder that people in Japan, or some of them they're going through such a mass thing? How is it you're going to be bombed by nuclear bombs, but then at the same time, you're going to invest in nuclear power? Like, you ain't learned from before? Like, they got you that twisted? Yes, they do. They're about to get them involved in another war with China. The lines are being drawn. The most developed, and one of the most developed and conscious so-called African countries in the world was demolished in front of our eyes, and nobody here or over there did nothing about it in the destruction of Libya with Gaddafi. I got pictures of this nigga rocking a whole Black Africa pin right next to Obama and these niggas. Obama shook this nigga hand 2 months before he knew they was going to go and kill this nigga. one of the only people in Africa promoting so-called African unity, meaning all of us as Africans. There was a whole product placement thing going on with him, where they were going to create all types of labor unions that were going to deal in real money, cutting the World Bank and everybody out. Now, it's interesting. Recently, Hungary just kicked Rothschild out the country. I don't know if y'all heard that. Hungary is one of the only countries now on the planet issuing debt-free money, meaning that if you convert some of your money into Hungarian currency, that money don't have no debt attached to it at all. It's all free. They said within 2 months of them kicking Rothschild out, their economy doubled. Double. This is a major event. So how come they ain't run up in there and blow them up? Because that's what Gaddafi was doing. Also, the 7 states in the United States right now that's petitioning to kick the NSA out of they states. And any information through data mining that the NSA, that local police forces pick up through the NSA, be inadmissible in court. That's a major coup. That's a major headshot to the agenda. The agenda meaning keeping everybody on a boat. In America, in the United States, you're either on a boat or you're on the land. If you're on the boat, then you're functioning under the maritime thing. If you're on the land, then that means you're functioning from the soil, you see? So due to the fact that everybody's on the land functioning under the assumption that they are beyond the sea, absent of themselves, due to the Cestui Trust of 1666, this is the earthly measure that they've used to bind the souls of humanity, you see? So in the destruction of the old empire, in the absorption of it and the reorganization of it into a general national government, and from that general national government being repurposed by the custodians of it to turn it into a corporation, what that means essentially is that the United States of America can have no citizens but corporations. So the only real citizens are citizens in the United States, because if you're not, then that means that you're a human. And due to the fact that they've desocialized or denationalized humanity from its original inference, when I say they, I mean those who over the centuries contributed to the destruction of humanity as a physical, mental, and spiritual vehicle for the universal thing that we perceive as God to experience what physical or imperfect creation would be like if it manifested as all of us. So those entities that incarnate to disrupt that are referred to as those practicing the Lucifer experiment. See what I'm saying? The Luciferian experiment, or what we call the Yakubian experiment, is really just a offshoot of what reality would be like without a central battery of love to function it. So if it goes love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, if there is no love, if one does not love themselves, then they cannot function any of the other principles. Therefore, where there is no love, there is no truth. You cannot have one without the other. So if there is no love and there is no truth, then there is no God in the situation. Even though the universal presence that we understand as God is in all situations, yet what makes it God is that it allows all things to function and do as they are supposed to do, meaning that it doesn't impose itself on anything. Therefore, it lets everything function how it's supposed to. Because that's the only way to fully learn, by letting things be themselves. That's why we as a culture could exist around other cultures and not necessarily feel threatened by them until they try to threaten us. Where in other situations it's the opposite. So white folk can move into the dirtiest hood all day and nothing happened to them. Black man can move into the most pristine, nice neighborhood. Next morning he got crosses and nooses and shit hanging from his tree. You understand? The noose is the necktie. So in the fact that the noose has been gagged out from Hungary as an example, this now is going to spread. This is causing drastic change. So now remember, they having this whole Olympics thing over there where the United States is in close proximity to Russia in terms of their military. And that's a hairy situation due to all of the underlying Cold War stuff that's going on between them right now. You dig? So the Olympic Games or whatever it is the cover, you see what I'm saying, for the war games that they're, practicing against each other right now, the open war games. So again, the one who is usually asked out in the mix is those people of the so-called third world or the so-called black male and black female in America who care nothing about anything international, you know what I'm saying, if it don't concern money, you understand, and who will gladly form themselves to be citizens of the United States as opposed to establishing their own state. You see? Now, everybody else in the world has national records where they remember and have evidence of us being in control of the government and things like that. But after the War of 1812 and certain book burnings, shit like that, you know what I'm saying, through Reconstruction and all of that gets switched over. You know what I'm saying? So it has nothing to do with the perception of what's happening, more to do with how you perceive what is happening as one of the assumed they feel that they can control or they have assumed jurisdiction over. Yet once one declares what one is, international and the laws of humanity come into play to protect that. They have to look like they at least are having to keep the world in balance, and what they're doing is actually for the good of somebody. That somebody is always themselves, but they've got to perceive that they're somehow patriotic or they believe in this country as a real country. When the country that they serve, the government that they serve, again, is not even, it's a variance of the continuance of the same madness that they use to diabolically usurp control from the original powers on the planet. So the running idea is that this place was just a barren wilderness and there was nobody here that had no order, and these Indians were just running wild and just doing their own thing and had no way of unifying or having no real culture. No trade network, no mercantile, nothing. Which we know is not true, but this is what they've been selling through movies and this whole, what happened in America was good for America because it got us to where we are today, as if we're somehow better today, you know what I mean, than we would have been if we didn't allow people to come here and set up businesses and stuff. But the corporations and the businesses that were set up by the British back then were in direct retribution to the destruction of the greater empire as a whole. And so the reorganization of it in a manner of trust. And at the time, the British Moors were the only ones in that position to do so, being that they were under the direct direction of the Turks. So they knew how to rule over people because they had been ruled over by the old man as well for so long. I don't Yeah, lay down. So it became a prerequisite almost that once you were absorbed into the so-called United States system, that America would now have to be a dream. You see what I'm saying? Something that was no longer real, was something that was now an aspect of mythology that they today refer to as Americana. You know, the bastardized or the derivative or byproduct of Americana is culture. You see what I'm saying? Which is a hodgepodge of different facts about different things that happen that nobody has any real awareness to do enough knowledge to bring a through line as to how everything got twisted. So as much as it's about everybody can move up on us on the same and things like that, we see an obvious persecution of people who are poor and happen to be so-called black or Hispanic, who just so happen to be the remnants of the ancient Carthaginian and ancient Roman strain of Moorish blood that existed here in ancient America from time immemorial. But the knowledge of that was taken from them, and the redistribution of what Rome was is now given to me through the miniseries that come on HBO or the movie with, you know, Russell Crowe or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So in the movie, you see the dude Proximo, as an example for Gladiator. In the movie, you see the dude Proximo is the Moor. He's the one with the beard, with the turban, with all of the slaves, running everything with the red flag over his little gladiatorium and all of that. But when he go to Rome, he put on the Roman gear. And that's how Moors used to do. They still do it like that. What I'm noticing is that in this culture, they don't want, I can have any other identity but Moorish, it seems, or Moor, or Moorish, or American. God forbid I say I'm an American or an American. Or like Dr. Yaffa Bey said, an American or Thompson. God forbid I say something like that. I'm watching natives or people who calling themselves claiming an Indian or whatever, putting out materials saying that we, Moors specifically, don't have no claim to nothing over here. You dig? But the white man ain't saying that. The white man know everybody that look like me got a claim here, but not everybody know how to actively acquire it. And not everybody that came, not everybody set in motion certain course of events that forced the so-called powers that be to redistribute how they was doing business from that point on. Things that are earthly laws that are in their books that actually protect the things that we do today are all examples of the work that our forefathers put in to do so. But now I'm supposed to be made to believe that these was somehow trying to get me to be something I'm not. A lot of them were. But regards to what anybody want to say about the prophet, what I do see is that everything that was put down has not essentially changed. The core aspect of that has not changed. And to me, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, spirit, and God, I don't know what else you could add to that to make that more applicable to the so-called human condition. I don't see any of these so-called movements, much as they say, you know, they putting in work, they spreading the word, other than the white man is the devil, which is a foregone conclusion. How is that going to help me now? Because as much as he's the devil, he's still sending them to your schools. He's still sending your children to his schools. You know what I'm saying? As much as you don't want to do this and that, you still using his money to do shit. That's why when it's said in the divine constitution and bylaws that we are part of this government, we're talking. You have to understand what this government means. That means your constitutional government, your arm, leg, arm, head, your Moorish science between your two temples, being that you live in a place called America. So the mythology and everything that surrounds the temple is a carried over reference of energy that was left for us to pick up now. Like I said, between 1912 and 1955, Morocco over there had no green star in their flag, and they could not raise it over there. But it was raised over here, and if it was not to be, then the French government had the right of mark through the so-called United States government to put sanctions against the prophet and lock him up for that. But he was not locked up for that. That was recognized. So that means that Morocco was then fully recognized over here. Marcus Garvey ain't do that. Haile Selassie ain't do that. Daddy Grace ain't do that. Elijah Muhammad ain't do that. Dr. King ain't do that. Malcolm X ain't do that. He did. Dr. York ain't do that. And again, I'm not trying to diss none of these people. I'm just saying, let's put it in perspective, man. First in time, first in line. And it was people before the prophet. Look at the Mahdi, what he did. He established Khartoum by taking the head of Captain Gordon, the white Shriner who they was wearing, who they made wear the red fez. That helped establish the Ahmadiyya movement. So if all of these movements and all these working together, why is it now, today, I'm supposed to choose one over the other? I choose Moorish science. I'm choosing the best part of all of those because it's it's forcing me to bring out the nationalistic identity in whatever else I'm viewing as a prospective group to do the knowledge to or with. So if I'm a Moor and I'm with a Panther, I'm going to be building with this Panther about how to get the national side of their programs working. Same thing if I'm dealing with a RBG, if they do that. But one thing a lot of these other movements lack is the occult or mysterious or mystery system that's supposed to go along with that to move it forward. That's another reason why the Moorish Science Temple of America is still functioning, because there's still a spiritual side of it. But some people get more caught up in it. They get caught up in the divine aspect and negate the national aspect. Or they get caught up in the national aspect and then negate the divine. But that's maladapted. Because if you are blessed with two hands, you use both of them. Try, you want to see how life change in a day. Tomorrow, do an exercise with yourself. Tie your right arm to your waist, and only use your left arm for the whole day. And I mean, do everything. Like, try to do everything. Well, not drive, maybe, because you could get hurt, but you know what I'm saying? And see the difference. 12 o'clock that night, when you able to use that arm, you're going to have a new appreciation for it. Another reason why Pharrell, to switch gears, camera 2, camera 3, the reason why Pharrell was also blowing up because of that song he did for the Oscars, Glorifying the God is Happy, from the movie Despicable Me 2. See what I'm saying? These people are functioning on a semi-occult basis due to the limited aspect of magic that they learn as warlocks and witches after they do their blood contracts. The only difference between you and them is the fact that you haven't taken the oath or you haven't signed a contract. Therefore, the only obligation you still have is to yourself and to your everlasting creator, which is the highest aspect of yourself that manifests through the spirit, which is the highest aspirations and aspects of the soul, which is yours independently. But the gateway to the spirit, the gateway to Allah is the soul. So if you sell that or give somebody an option to it, you negate your connection. Therefore, you have agreed on a soul level now to be a part of the Luciferian experiment, which is a world without love, which is why he is the Prince of Lies. Because where there is no love, there is no truth. Where there is no truth, there's no peace, right? Where there's no peace, there's no justice. These people have made a whole political movement out of each one of the principles of the Moorish Science Temple of America and made it a national agenda where it became entrenched in part of the social engineering and programming of what they are creating in the mind of the corporatized United States citizen. They had the free love movement, it's love, right? Then they had the peace movement. They had the truth movement after 9/11. They had the freedom movement, Dr. King and them, right? They were moving into the equality movement, but you know, they did that. The equality movement turned into the women's feminist movement supported by the black women, and that is what helped destroy the family, the black family. Because the black man after that was outlawed. And that from that era became the rise of black men in prison. So you can't tell me that, you know, the ripple effects, the quantum redundancies based on the quantum fissures, the reluctancy of following the true truth has created what people in the company call blowback that has now trickled down and rippled into the greater so-called human psyche or consciousness. So the need for us to exist in our true identity is even that much more paramount because it allows us to not be lumped in with the savagery of those who are going down with or what Brother J of X-Clan referred to as chemical Egypt. There was a line in the movie Blade that said, immortality is only for those that are fit for it. And the basic construct applies the same. You give the man what his hand calls for. Here we go. There was an island that sailors in the 1300s, after the Emirates of Cordoba capitulated to the Castilian Moriscos, they were able to get passage west, and through that they came across the hidden island of High Brazil. And on that island, allegedly, were other Moors who are of a taller, higher stature, who existed amongst prehistoric animals and all this other type of same stuff you hear about the Nazis living on in Antarctica. There's so much buried knowledge under the feet, but has been buried in such a negative context that it is now reaching up and raising itself up again from the bowels of the earth itself. You know what I'm saying? The earth has to do it in order for life to continue. So they've made it to the point where there have to be natural disasters. Like there were huge epochs in time, supposedly, where there were everything was settling. So, you know, in the Hyperborean age, everything was seen as energy of the goddess. You know what I mean? So mountains were always seen as breasts, and so it was possible to get milk and, you know, all of this so-called mythology that we see in things like, I don't know, Conan or whatever, but those are exaggerated versions of the actual time that these beings, our ancestors, existed. And analogous to us existing in that state, there were also those who lived in a semi-bestial state, who eventually, you know, again, grew into the people we today know or who call themselves white or whatever it is they call themselves this year. But in that, they create and have kept a stern imperialistic view on race that has allowed them to dominate. This was instilled in them through the Hitlerian period of the Thule / Skull and Bones rulership of Germany through the Nazi Party, with the help of Wall Street and what would become NASA through the OSS. So the very fabric of the American society always had the basis of this heavy racism and the need to denationalize and dehumanize those original remnants of the original country and disassociate them from their inheritance to such a degree that they associate with the barbaric nature of themselves just to be fed and subsist in the society that actually preys upon them and fears them waking up to the fact that they are really the only Americans and that everybody else has been living off of their inheritance in the sense of things like Social Security and all of that was created out of the Cestui Trust of 1666, which was an ecclesiastical Vatican trust, which is why the symbolic reference of the crow killing the dove let loose by the Pope symbolizes the end of the church, Vatican itself, and being the last one, as the prophecy of the old Moors of Granada that said, as the last warrior pope capitulates, there be the black as sackcloth bird that descends on the land. That was from the tragedy of Boabdil. He's the last, or was the last caliph of Granada, who handed over the keys to Isabella and Ferdinand. Ferdinand later betraying Isabella, who wanted to repopulate the Moors in the old Incan and Mayan Empire, being that was from anyway. But again, he sided with the Catholics, and the Moriscos fell under the jurisdiction of the church, which then put them at odds with the Habsburgs, or the Holy Roman Empire, which at the time was Moors, and created the 100-Year War between the Stuarts and the Tudors. So again, all this is black history. You know what I'm saying? but they acted out with white folk. You know what I'm saying? However, because the European aspect of Moorish history is what they prefer to focus on, they don't really deal with how we as American Moors or Moorish Americans dealt with each other in the Societas Republicanos Americanos Estados. When I say that, I'm talking about the pre-government. I'm talking about the ancient pre-government that set the foundations of liberty and all of that we see in those halls that they made to look like themselves now. The very principles of the foundation of what all of that was, the centralized place of power, the people who made sure that all of the mounds had all of the right protections and stones and things that they needed, and made sure that each aspect of the empire between Alaska and Chile, whether it was the Tomoancan, which was the Inca, the Maya, the Olmec, and the Hopi, you know what I'm saying, and the Anasazi eventually, were functioning in harmony with those members of the Tratagi Eels, which were the Cherokees or whatever, as well as the Lenabes, who became the Lenape. Were also the Delaware, who were also we the people. So there's a basic and real consideration of who and what we are when we say that. But we have never seen any reenactment of that. We have never seen a movie done in the time period in which these people would be building like that for some reason. You know what I'm saying? Why is that? Well, we know why, because that would mean that we were and are an intellectual people, and we have been bred to believe that we are only a physical people first. We're only useful in dance and gesture and entertainment and tragedy. This is the mind state. This is the elaborate dance that has been put in your mind to associate with. You can't be descended from people like Hisham II, 976 A.D. You can't be associated with people like that. You know what I mean? You can't be associated with people like I said, Malik Ambar and these ancient people that these Arabs and these Persians and these people still sing songs about, that they have totally forgotten was associated with you until you bring it up, if you know about it. But they held on to the language that was taught to them by those Moors who moved on and then created but eventually fell victim to it. As a culture. And then the empire was then situated within each one of them that associated and identified with it, which is why it's a perpetual thing, because that empire is based on the spiritual oneness between us and Allah that was made earthly and manifest in the Islamic Constitution of 622. So it's become a somewhat of a tragedy in how we've almost domesticated ourselves to fall into these positions. So long as they cut in a check, there'll always be somebody ready to play the slave. You dig? That's the real problem. You dig? It's not like there's a balanced view of it. It's not like they're doing movies about the Moors enslaving people. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not advocating that. I'm not trying to make it seem like, oh, that was cool and all that, because, you know, these people are sensitive. I'm not coming at it like that. But I am saying that there is something to seeing a balanced view of things. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And in having a balanced view of things, you can then know that it wasn't just you always dominating somebody, because that's giving you a false sense of superiority, just like it's giving me a false sense of inferiority, which does not exist, both byproducts of fear. So we're really dealing with fear of what we really are and accessing that and being that all the time. Nobody wants to be good all the time. It's good to be bad, right? That's the whole thing. You got one artist last night whose fingertips looked like they was dipped in black paint. Then you got the other one doing a ritual in the graveyard where they had the Montauk horse, the same horse that's outside the Denver airport, that killed the dude that made it for them. The artist who was made in that horse that you see when you come up to the Denver airport is the same one you see on the Montauk books. That horse represents time travel. It's called the Dark Horse, Elibrius. You know what I'm saying? So, again, these are cult references, and these things are all old from old Moorish grimoires, but they call these grimoires illuminated manuscripts, which were the copies of the original Moorish grimoires. So you read about Faust, you read the tragedy of Faust, or you read Titus Andronicus, and you read about Aaron in that, and Tamara, the queen of Gaul. These are black people who were taken into bondage in Rome and wound up becoming kings based upon their nobility, how they used their position to destroy the person who sacrificed her son to the gods of Rome by taking out his entrails. This is all reminiscent again of the fall of the empire through these European type Moors who then brought that type of shit over here. We was dealing more with the expansion of trade and commerce. You want to think about old America, you think New York was ill. Think about old Mayan or old Olmec culture down in the Tehuantepec by the city of the sun. Or think about the longhouse. There was one longhouse that was built that stretched the whole island of Manhattan at one point in American history. And people from all over the world used to come there to do business. This is way before it was even a graveyard, because it went through centuries where it was a graveyard at one point. That's why the energy, that's why the methane there is so heavy, because you got all of these dead people over the centuries that's been, you know what I'm saying, decomposing through the process of carbon-14. So there's a book where it says the Irish annals speak of the Fomorians as a warlike race. These are the people called Fomorians, who were descended of Shem, son of Noah, and lived by the spoil of other nations, and were in those days very troublesome in the whole world. These were the ancient inhabitants of Atlantis, who, according to Plato, carried their arms to Egypt and Athens. But Egypt and Athens back then was from where they were from, which was called Fomoreg Afrique, which translated to Fomorians from Africa. But in that day, Africa, this is a direct quote from the book, in that day, Africa did not mean the continent of Africa as we now understand it. Major Wilford, in the 8th volume of Asiatic Researches, has pointed out that Africa comes from Aparu, Aparika, and signifies the West. So it's just to speak of the Asiatic world, just as we now speak of the Asiatic world as the East. So again, they flipped it based upon your present perception of the Orient. The Grand Orient coming out of France, from what we call the so-called Templars, descended from Godfrey de Bouillon and Hugh de Payan, Hugh of the Pagans. Again, Moriscos, black men who dealt in white slavery, okay, and justified it through Christian means, to them descending from the Moriscos who made the first deals in the 1300s with the Emirates of Cordoba, who capitulated due to them wanting more access to their connections with France. Again, all of this is black history that can be found in, different books like Golden Age of the Knights Templars, a book called Christians and Moors, another book called Washington Irving's book on the Alhambra talks about it. Get Golden Trade of the Moors, that gets into it, how the money was all transferred. So all of this stuff back in the days meant the West. So Africa then signifying the West, just as we now speak of the Asiatic world as the East. When therefore the Fomorians claimed to come from Africa, they simply meant that they came from the West. Dash, when they put a dash in something, they leaving the part out. That part out is usually what you think it is. In other words, from Atlantis, dash, from there was no other country except America west of them. The Fomorians, the first invasion, they said that they were from there from so long that they were thought to be the original people. They were also a division of them were called Partholans people. The Partholanians or the Parthenians were the Fomorian branch or Moorish branch that got tribute from what we today call Babylon. Look up the Parthenian Empire and look who they ruled. And you'll see they were also Atlanteans. So again, we're talking about the destruction of the old world and the culmination of what I believe to be the destruction of the Yakubian experiment, and then in that Noah going out on the arks and then keeping the genetic pattern of those people who were then let loose in the so-called, back then, I guess, New World, which was over there in what we call Europe, Africa, and Asia. And because we were the original navigators who were descendants of him, we always knew the trade routes and stuff back and forth. So we go from Noahites. So by the time they call themselves Fomorians, we're a unified group. Said they were also probably Atlanteans. They went from Spain, Britain, where they met a king called, it says here, called Guntius or Gormand, and encountered the Hebrides, what we call the Iberian peninsulas, as well as Ireland and Scotland, and by Partholon. So it says in Spain in that day, was the land of the Iberians, who today they call the Basque. That is to say, another descendant of them who were called the Atlanteans. The Fomorians defeated Partholan's people, killed Partholan, and drove the invaders out of the country. The Fomorians were a civilized race, and they had a fleet of about 60 ships and a strong army. The next invader of their dominions was Nimhind. Nimhind was where we today call Norway and all of that. So these are, again, Moors from Thor and all of that type of stuff, Asgard and all that shit. Valhalla, right? He captured one of the fortifications, but it was retaken by the Fomorians under the name they were now called, which was Moor. So again, Moors from America. So when they tell you that the Moors went up from North Africa, right, into Spain, you thinking they talking about Morocco, which they are, but they talking about the Morocco that was always over here, not the satellite Morocco that was over there. The Morocco over there was the ancient fortification point or jump point for those of us from over here who decided to go back up into Europe. So the Fomorians being descended from Noah or Noah and Then you got Shem and Ham and Cush and all of that is the bloodline of the Bayes and the Eels. So we Moors have a history. People want to say, oh, it's mythology. That's just what it says in, ancient Atlantis, the antediluvian world. So what? It must be true. It must be true because I know it is. And being that I live in a world where everyone is under the veil of ISIS, I get to choose what delusion I choose to make real or not. That's the other secret of physical reality that they don't teach us. Transmorphification or transmogrification. All of these things are contributed due to our psychic energy that we believe don't exist. So it's harvested through cell towers and cell phones and that type of stuff. And the process by making these things happen again is the society that calls for it. So the division between man and mankind, and now we're going into transhuman kind, right? We're going from amalgamated man now to transhuman man. There's a movie coming out called Transcendence with Johnny Depp where he actually becomes the mainframe and begins to disassemble Earth on a digital level. You already have soldiers wearing digital camouflage. Why would they be wearing digital camouflage? Because the whole wars that's being fought are being fought through long range, through different microprocessors and all of that. So the digital camouflage actually is supposed to scramble some of the signals of the soldiers being under surveillance, allegedly or whatever. So the military applications of the mystery school and all of that has been such under the freedom cap. That's at the top of the Army logo. You'll see a Fed. You'll see a red Fed on a pipe. All of these were tactics of the old empire. So our society, once the empire was fractured, that was the way into the society. And those that were able to come in were those who were speaking the signs and the symbols that they were taught by those so-called Moriscos and Franciscan Moors from Europa, who were already into, white women and all the other stuff they was into. So being that we about love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, they get into that. So when we read the old stories about the Charatagis, how they got through the Elk Society and the Deer Society and all of that, the False Face Societies, these are all depictions of how the world was prior to that. So after that first 150 years of contact, everything began to switch up because now these so-called Caucasians felt that they had a way in and they could get away from those Moors from Europa. And so being that we their cousins and we in some instance fought with them in those wars, they were able to use their positions to turn us to their culture by getting us to get away from things like wampum and get into things like money. Getting us to sell the gold and the jewels and stuff we was wearing to receive pieces of it or titles to the land in a system that they had control of. So, of course, we was not going to come out on top. It's just what happens. So, what we can do, we get into calls, if you like, 347-637-1184. Okay, let's see. 832, you on Super Heru Radio? Peace.
Hello?
Peace.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, bro. What's good, G?
What's up, Jay?
I was basically calling, man. You got it, fam. I was trying to ask a question, man, because me and my uncle, we always be going at it, not like in a physical sense, but we always like debating over certain topics. But he was, he was explaining to me or telling me from his perspective that Nimrod is basically the first ruler, or looked at as the first worshipped God or whatever. And he's saying that basically Nimrod in different locations is known as different gods. Like basically Nimrod is all the different deities, which ultimately he's saying, to make a long story short, is the Antichrist. So the Isis, Osiris and Horus story, he's saying, comes from Nimrod and what was his wife's name?
Semiramis.
Yeah, Semiramis, right. So I just want to know, what is your take on that? Who is Nimrod, and what is his significance?
In my view of it, all of these beings at one time became gods on earth by slaying their titanic forefathers, which would symbolically represent people individually and the super ancient nations as a whole. Those nations that existed before the flood, and those nations that coalesced together after. So in both periods we existed, you know what I'm saying? And the period before that. So the being that we considered Nimrod, who actualized himself as an archetype of getting people to worship him as God, you know what I'm saying, is most likely true, you know what I mean? The reincarnation of that ritual, you see what I'm saying, is then done in the creation of somebody like a president of the United States, in the creation of an American Idol, you know what I mean? That is Nimrod in the ethereal sense, being accessed in the form of practice by taking a individual who may not have the merits of God, but turning them into that, because that's how you're able to siphon people's energy. You see what I'm saying? That principle is Nimrod itself.
That's pretty much what I told him. That's pretty much what I told him,
Essentially, it's the embodiment, but the embodiment is now carried on because the physical body of that being is not there. It's not like they're doing blood rituals where they're trying to bring back Nimrod by some sort of arcane psychosexual means like you see in like Frankenstein or Blade 3 or some shit like that. You know what I mean? They're not trying to do that because they can't control that. And they're not trying to do nothing that they don't feel they have control of. So when we say they, we're talking about those people who give the psychic energy and the physical energy to ensure that there are rituals that celebrate Nimrod. You see what I'm saying? And do things like that. So we're really not. So there really is nobody you could just you could blow Hollywood up, and they could still make movies.
They gonna do what they do.
Saying? You could blow that whole thing up, and they could still make movies. So you can't blame them for what they're doing. That's what their society set them up to do. We have to know the difference, you know what I'm saying, between the spell that they casting and the entertainment. You know what I'm saying? You sometimes got to look at shows that you know they impersonating black people and almost envision black people in the costumes sometimes when you watch movies. You know what I'm saying?
I see that all the time. Just like you were saying earlier about the Gladiator movie and shit. When I very first seen it, I was a youngin', man. I'm only 25. But when I first seen it, I'm like, yo, this supposed to be black people, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They calling them the Spaniard. He from Spain, He got dark hair, But even he got a slave. The slave got a slave. Hanzu. Hanzu's supposed to be Russell Crowe character, but they don't never put you in your real archetype. They put you as the man next to him. The only time they did that, I think, was with Morgan Freeman in Robin Hood 3. I mean, Robin Hood.
When he was,
you know what I'm saying?
when he was speaking about the Moorish?
Yeah, when he was the Moor and shit, yeah. Other than
Right.
that, you know, they don't really get into that. Whenever you black in a movie, you got to have something wrong with you. You got to either have light eyes, or you got to be in a wheelchair, or you got to be with a white girl, or you got to be bald-headed, or, you know what I'm saying? You got to, there's something that's got to be with you. You can't just be black. You got to have, like, blonde hair. You got to have, you know, like a cane. They just did Blair Underwood. They put that nigga in a wheelchair.
Yup.
You know what I'm saying? They killing you first. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't let you be the hero no kind of way. No kind of way. So those people who get to do that, imagine what they got to do to even get to do that. And they don't even do it like they could do it. You see what I'm saying?
Bro, I was just
go ahead.
I was just telling him, you know, my fiance, I was like, she was watching Color Purple earlier. I'm like, yo, this just not right. This show you something. I'm like, how the hell did Oprah, you know what I'm saying, going from at this time to going to $9 billion in such a short time? You know she's doing something for that, you know. But that's just all day, every day. You know, I mean, every day I look out into the world, I see nothing but bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a facade that niggas putting on. It's like, bro, niggas, it's like
not real.
It's not
Once
real.
Once you do that, and you get your own identity, you know, if you Yoruba, then your identity is gonna be that. They know how to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? They know how to deal with everything. You see what I'm saying? Because they already got that down. They even got us classified under race. 667 and 463. You were as a Moor, you 667. As an Asiatic, you 463. But in that, they don't have no way with that really when you coming in your real self. That's just a vehicle. Like that's just like the armor and the clothes that the Creator for us to be able to vesture ourselves in, so that way we not with the commoners. Because we not, man. We like everybody else. If you are tall and he's short, then something genetically is different in you than him. If he's dark-skinned and you light-skinned, there's something genetically different in how your skin translated to melanin and his skin translated to melanin. Y'all both got melanin. But if you color struck with that shit, then it's going to be a problem. And the melanin is activated in the negative. If you cool with it, then it's activated in the positive, unless it's brought to a negative. Somebody trying to hate on you for it. But the white man ain't doing that no more. It's our people using a white man to justify it. So you don't. So you diss this black man for being with the white woman, but your hair's blonde, you bleaching, you got pink lipstick. You know what I'm saying? You got silicone in half of your body. You're not even real. You're not even a human. You're not even a human anymore. You put yourself into something else.
Type shit.
Yeah. You got a chip in you. They put a chip in you in the left breast. There's a chip in there.
And the sad part about it is niggas willingly doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
now you got men doing it. Men want love so bad, where they done turn themselves into the woman to get it. They done grow ass and everything. These niggas are crazy. This is the level. That's what I'm saying. You're not like that. I'm not like that. As bad as I've been homeless, I've had to sleep in the street. I ain't never tried to do some shit like that.
No doubt, fam.
I've slept in the street to not do shit like that. You know what I'm saying? That's the era I come from. Yeah,
and I'm about
just to not be under somebody's shit like that.
Right.
What kind of shit is that? But it's cool now, so you got to be cool with it. You gotta be cool with it.
Otherwise, you abstract. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always looking at like, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like
something's wrong with me.
You on some old like
something's wrong with me because I don't want to participate in the militarization of homosexuality. Something's wrong with me, and use my child as the thing for it. Like that's what it is. And you have women who would rather. I've met a man. Shit is so bad, you know what I mean. But at the same time, that's when you got to know that when the Creator said, "Those of my people are those who do as I do." You dig what I'm saying? That means you different. So we could be the same melanin, we could go up the same way, have the same nurturing, and all of that, and you could still grow up to be an asshole, and I could still grow up to be the same. So it's a choice.
You're so
in the
on
end.
point. You're so right.
In the end, it's what you choose to be. So if you want to be, you know, your robing and all that, do that. But find a national aspect of that to be able to use that to keep this cracker off of you. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't using it to do that, there's something wrong. You dig what I'm saying? No, these niggas want to use that shit to put work on other niggas. This is the level of the game. You got more traveling to other countries to get work, to put work on other Moors. It's like crazy shit, like dumb shit. Why? Because these niggas don't want to do right. But these the same niggas that will come to you and be like, okay, Moor, so come through my chamber and do this. Like, nigga, I would never let you initiate or put me under some shit. Are you crazy? Who knows what you doing in here?
For real, though, man.
You dig? I give people three things. If three different people come to me back with three different stories on some shit, or they all revolve around the same thing, then there's an aspect of it that got to be true. Yep. That's what I think.
That's what I know. You damn right. You know what I'm saying? But fam, hey King, I know it's a lot of people want to get at you, fam, and I could talk to you all night. But I want to ask you one more question before I leave. It's like this. It's like, okay, us being the originals, and you know what I'm saying. Us awakening to this consciousness. It's like, how do we get to the point to where we're all together, to where it's like, because from what I feel like I'm so divided, bro. My best friend I had for 11 years, he passed last year, God bless the dead, you know. But it's like, I feel sometimes that, like sometimes I question, like, Heavenly Father, like, why, why is this all going on? Why you allow it to go on? But it's like, if you are love, truth, peace, justice, and freedom, and it's like, why is it not externalized, on here on earth? And I guess my question is, in a nutshell, like, man, how do we just really bring about this real change? Not this bullshit Obama change, bro, but like, I mean, like some real, like, hey, let's do this for real, bro. Like let's take it back to the old days. You know what I'm saying? Like, how we do that, Like,
we don't. We don't. You don't at all, because it's not about everybody. Because everybody don't want it like you want it. Everybody, the reality of it. Okay, I'm going to give the Martin Luther King version, is that we all get the knowledge, and there's a synchronicity of an event that creates a ripple effect again, that breaks through the quantum fissure and allows enough tachyon energy to be able to pulsate back into the pineal gland of the present populace to such a degree that they immediately jump up, shave the perm out or whatever's artificial in them, they rip out of their bodies to allow the true spiritual aspect of the creation song to raise their vibration octave enough to vibrate out of the reality. That's the wonderful version, right? That's where we all just become bioluminescent and just rise up into the atmosphere as that everything around us is then destroyed, right? Like at the end of Knowing with Nicolas Cage or some shit. That's the wonderful version. That's the Michael Beckwith and the what you call it, these new age Satanists, the Theosophic Golden Dawnites practicing more science and secret and shit. That's the version they peddling. You know what I mean? Through niggas like Beyonce and what's her name, Oprah and these niggas, right? The Malcolm X version is niggas don't want real freedom. So those who free themselves and turn themselves and activate their own temple will find some way and get some aspect of spiritual recognition to be able to raise their own vibration and that of their family enough to then create a body where they basically be the remnants and the actual survivors of the whole shit, and their children with the real knowledge of themselves or whatever be the ones to implement who and what the real science was and is based upon them staying true to what was given to them. As more as eels and bays, as good people, you know what I'm saying? As proto-human beings as living souls, as remnants of ancient and super ancient culture that fell so low that the only thing it could do was get up. So both of those are great. But are we all going to do that together? Nah. Because whenever man tries to build something to bring everybody together, God destroys the shit. So that tells me that God don't want everybody together. When I read the Bible, all I see God doing is saying, look, y'all niggas move from them because I'm about to destroy these niggas. That's what I be reading. And in each one of them stories, the people he tell to move got some type of eel or some type of bay at the end of their shit.
Yep.
So hey, you could say what you want. They could, like I said, man, niggas could tell me anything. I'd be like, word, that's dope. I'ma still rock with what I'm doing because this shit got a certain order in the chaos. And through this, I can take control of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Based upon how the men set this shit up. But what y'all niggas want me to do is put my faith in y'all, like y'all gonna be there. And they don't. These niggas give you some shit, they speak to you, shit go down, you don't know where these niggas at. You know what I'm saying? And they say, oh, well, you didn't read this right. Check this. Oh, shit, I'm sorry, man. I've been babbling with all of this. Let me get to the next caller. Thank you again, brother, for the call.
All right, fam. It's been a pleasure. No problem.
Peace.
Peace, fam.
Let's see. 248, Super Heru Radio.
What's going on, sir, brother? What's happening? Can you hear me?
Peace, fam. Yes, I can hear you. How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? I ain't talked to you in about a whole year. It'd be hard catching up on you know. I get on here. I got to run my mouth a little bit. I'm just grateful to even be talking to you, man. I'm sending you some energy from Detroit. You know, that's where I do a lot. And
Indeed, big up Detroit.
Yeah, you know, I had to call you because I remember talking to you like a year ago. You know, I got my son. He 10. He gonna be turning 11 on February 6th. Now he's an Aquarius, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that the Aquarius is the 11th zodiac in the zodiac chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now check this out. My late mother, you know, she passed in 05 from breast cancer. She was a Taurus. And my son's mother is a Leo, and I'm a Scorpio.
Mm.
And a few people, you know, I talk to on the spiritual realm, you know, they know that I'm dealing with the fixed cross, right?
Right.
Because I know you would hit it in the head. I already know who I'm talking to. See, only so many people can catch that. Now check this out. I told you about a year ago that, you know, she been running inside the courtroom for the child support, been yanking back and forth, oh, he ain't shit, he a deadbeat, this. But every time, you know, I make child support payments, make the money, she quick to come get the money. But what's been going on is I had got me a new apartment, been trying to get the weekends with my son so I can take him to the bookstore, read him some books, do what fathers do. You know, she been like, oh, if he wants to come over there, if he wants to, I'm like, he ain't got no choice. You feel me?
Right.
And but what's going on is, check this out. This same person, and this is mother. She, her boyfriend, you know, he's a dope man. Let's just say that, right? I had 3 days ago, brother. 3 days ago, I'll try to make this quick. 3 days ago, I had to call the Child Protective Services, you know, the CPS people, and I told them, I'm like, look, I think the drugs being sold out the house. They like, well, how you know? Because she told me. So they went in there, you know, they didn't find nothing. Okay, good. They weren't supposed to. You know, she got all upset, this and everything, this and that. But I said, you know what I'm dealing with? See how I just told you the astrological thing, what I'm dealing with here?
Right.
I said, that's my seed, that's my son. So his purpose, he Aquarius, he a humanitarian. He's going to grow up and do some wonderful things on the planet.
He's supposed to do some dope shit.
That's right. Like with the other
Leo. She want all the attention.
Coming in. Right. But guess what? Even though I'm learning it's a fixed cross energy, and I got other people advising me on it and giving me enlightenment on things, but it's so interesting how that one person, that Leo, because I love Leos. I love all people, but that pride, they can have pride.
Man. Yeah, I'm dealing with that with my son. He's 5. I've seen it already.
So kind of like, because I know you could put it on a grander scale, it's like, I don't know if I got your email. I know your email is at house. What's your email?
It's houseofl@hotmail.com.
House of L. Okay, I'll put that in my notes right now. I know you done said it 1,000 times. I might already have it in here. Let me see. I put it in right now. House of HOUSEEL.
Yep. houseofl@hotmail.com.
Yeah, cause I'm gonna shoot you a message sooner or later and chop it up with you. And
okay.
But anyway, long story short, that's the situation. And I know it's a spiritual warfare thing. I kind of know what to do, but sometimes I gotta talk to people like you, a few more people I know in the community. I don't really trust everybody in the content community because some of these people is full of shit. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Yes, I do.
You be dropping in the head. You don't sugarcoat shit. People, you get that mad real. You dig it under the dirt. You don't move. You grounded. You and your queen. Your CDs, all y'all powerful. And y'all really, man, y'all save people's lives, man. It's people walk out here in Detroit under so much economic oppression. It's like I know it's crazy out there in NY. But, like, Detroit, man, you talking about conscious and spiritual stuff? These niggas out here done lost time.
Yeah.
They done lost time.
There's nothing to do. Yeah.
There's nothing to do. It's like you talk about, we forget about the getting your nationality and all. That's important. But, see, we talking about people that don't even know about integrity first.
Exactly. That's what I mean. You can't even give them that yet. You got to clean them up spiritually first before you can even deal with the physical. Who got time for all of that? I ain't got time for all that. Allah ain't got time for all that. I said they got to want to do that themselves. And they got to present themselves to want to do that. Until they do that, you got to just bid them well, pray for them, and keep it moving.
Yeah.
Because the way things is working now, the karma thing is catching up with people real quick. So you don't want to be nowhere around them when that happens.
See. I'm so glad you said that because, it says as above, so below. And the planet and the energy of society, especially with the government changing all the welfare programs, the employment, all this stuff, all this, these factors and variables and everything going on, all the fake Grammys, all the NFL, all this bullshit, all this distraction of energy that's just going around. Everybody's just so caught up.
Yeah, because there's nothing to do. Nothing to do. They feel there's nothing else they could do. So the next step for them is oblivion. So those of us that get something else are able to see something else. Those of them that can't, they suck it into all of this. So that's why I say when these people reveal themselves to be what they are, be thankful that they're doing that so you don't waste time in giving them your spiritual or psychic energy to see that. As soon as that dark-skinned girl from that 12 years of a slave shit, I was like, there got to be something about her that's broke. Not because I believe that of dark-skinned women, by no means. I believe the opposite. But when somebody like that is propped up in their society the way that they did her based on that movie, I got to look at her history because it got to be something to show that she being handled by one of them. So once I found she went to Yale, that's it. Then after that, she was Alito, that's her boyfriend. That's it. He a manga cho slave from way back. So I already know. So the fix in. So that's not me wishing her or me hating on black women. No. That's just me knowing that any original woman who look original in that society like that, that's promoted to me as successful, that I'm supposed to want, they're going to put her with somebody that's the opposite of me. to make me inspire her, but then covet her at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And her then do the same to me. I ain't still with a black man yet in the picture. But that's just me. I'm not saying there's no pictures of her out there like that. I'm just saying that from the time that she done blew up as an example of, hey, this is the type of dark-skinned woman you should be. One who could play a slave real good that's from somewhere else, who you can now emulate, who then hooks up in her personal life somebody who is the same color as the person who was whipping her in the movie. So it's
no. Let me enhance that. What's up with the melanin talk show hosts from the UK?
Oh yeah, that.
You see,
these people are horrible. He's just as bad as Dom Lemon. Same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Something wrong with him. He's gay. You see what I'm saying? So he could talk black consciousness and all that because he's gay. You see what I'm saying? What's the name from CNN? She could talk black conscious stuff because she got a lisp. So you don't take her seriously. Like this, I'm just keeping it real. That's how they position it, because they condition people to automatically write people off. Nobody listens to what anybody says. Nobody's listening to me. I mean, people are listening to me, but nobody's really listening to me. You know what I'm saying? No. That's why I could do it. That's why I could say it and do it the way I'm doing it, because they know. Because they know as real and as truthful and all that as it. They know. And I know. That's why I don't take myself so seriously. You see what I'm saying? To be out here and presume that I need an individual that's the answer to every my problem. No. I just know what worked for me. And what worked for me was the stuff that happened to come from the community. So that means it's us. You see what I'm saying? But I know us is only those of us that's really about this. And it's not all of us that's really about it. So I'm not going to put that on anybody that don't bring that to me. To me, you show, I show my level of involvement. So you dictate that. So if you can only do flyers, just do that. You know what I'm saying? Easy. Just do that. If you were a really good speaker or orator, then just do that. Just do that before you start doing the books and the tours and the this and the that, and then you got the drink, and then you got the clothes, and then you got the, you see what I'm saying? Like, you ain't even get the people a chance to even know who you are yet. You done turned yourself into a franchise within 2 YouTube clips. Like, how you do that? How you do that? But that's where we at. So we gotta let them do that and do what we need to do. But I love you, brother. Thank you again.
Oh man, you must.
And
hey,
love
man,
and light.
You know,
you and the Prince is gonna work out.
Oh yeah, you know I had it. I'm glad I got on the phone with those other people that's behind. I just want to say to you and yours, you know, peace and love. You know, I got you on my priority list. You know, I know y'all be needing that them donations and that love. When my budget,
it helps.
I got.
Thank you.
You in my top 5, man. I don't wish you out jump with other shows and people. I only deal with so many certain type of cats.
Me
and
too,
I know
bro. You got to. That's why you're so tight.
And your value of that information is priceless. No matter what somebody sends you on energy, as far as monetary, you know what you do is diamonds, man. You know what I mean? But you do be need. You know that's real. You do need. You need some currency.
It helps,
bro. But
that's why I strive to do other things to help, promote the same thing. So, inshallah, it'll happen, man. Love and light.
Yeah, that's what's up. All right.
Peace, King.
Peace.
Yeah, man. It's just coming down to what it is you choose to be a part of and what it is you don't. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, we're in a society where most people are a part of the scam of it. And some of them don't even know. You know what I'm saying? They don't even know. So again, I'm a universalist when it comes to Moors. I see all original melanated people as descendants of the empire, especially those of so-called the American descent. So that means anybody born in North, Central, and South America, of the darker melanated hue that represented the original nationalistic governments that became republics, that became states. and have now been managed for the past 100 years by the so-called United States under coup d'etats and third world disestablishment. This is just, again, an aspect of the world we live in, but they are more nationalistic in the third world than in a lot of the African countries. In the African countries, they fighting and killing each other. In the third world, they're killing each other too, but they're killing aspects of the government that's not fostered by some sort of CIA Mossad operation. They're actually fighting to kick those type of people who are being paid by those governments out over here. In Africa, it's different. They're trying to put them governments back in. So, everybody want a peace. A worldwide epidemic where Africans disassociate from the so-called race so much that they actually peddle their own brand of bleaching creams to their populace. These bleaching creams also have enzymes in it that over time shut down the liver and all types of other shit. Because they're created by the same companies that created the pharmaceuticals. Excuse me, I haven't eaten. So, like I said, it just becomes a random disarray of events that seem meaningless and happenstance, but in actuality, they all coalesce to one grand event, which is the mind-numbing of anything that is of real value in the world. So, again, I have nothing against entertainment. I have nothing against people. I mean, I do have something against people dehumanizing themselves on a moral level, but at a certain level, I'm totally indifferent towards it. Because if that's what they want to do, that's how they exert their liberty or their freedom, let them do that. You know what I'm saying? That's what the United States has done to its citizens. So what I'm watching as a Moor is the dehumanization of the world populace under the pseudo-government that usurped its way out of my back pocket into the world that it is now. So that doesn't mean that I'm proud. My ancestors worked with these fractured Franciscan European Moors or Morisco Moors who basically blackmailed these other Moors from different realms and all of that. I'm not proud of that. But I can't do nothing to change that now. All I can do now is process what happened and make sure that the government that I'm a part of today does not reanimate those issues. Therefore, I don't create the same Frankenstein. And therefore, I am not, you know what I'm saying, I'm not turning Moore Science Temple into Ingolstadt University. You know what I'm saying? I'm not participating in my own destruction. I'm not going to join up with something that was created by my ancestors to school the enemy because my ancestors got so grimy that they couldn't trust each other. That's the truth about Moorish or black history. You dig? That's what people don't want to deal with. But it got to a point where somebody was able to rise to above the crab barrel enough to unify the people to the point where the other person on the other side of the planet realized that the only person who was the remnant of these people was this guy, who happened to be born on the same guy that his father set in motion the events that got them both to what happened in Cuba. That these niggas today telling me didn't happen. It didn't exist. So niggas been telling me a lie for 100 years. Okay. That could be true, because that's what happened with everything else. But the white man is saying that this ain't a lie. He ain't saying nothing. So under jurisprudence, that means he agreed with me. That's called sub silentio. You dig? So under natural equity, I look at that which should have been done as done. That which should have supposed to have done as done. Therefore, if they don't do it, that's on them. That's an automatic default. I automatically get paid. That's how it's got to work. But you can't do that as a citizen of the United States. They put you in jail for that. And they have the right to do that because they created their Frankenstein how they wanted it to be. And they made you a part of it. And even though they didn't tell you that at any time you could declare what you really were so that way they could organize you, you could be organized properly, they forced you to believe in what they said you was so that way you can keep getting money with them. Like any hustler, any pimp, any drug dealer would do. And we're Americans and citizens of the United States like drug dealers. They like pimps, right? They like hustlers. They like gangsters. That's the American way, because those are the modern gladiators. Those are the viva gladiatores, right? People used to pay to see people get disemboweled in the most crazy, arcane ways. And thousands of species that didn't exist no more was destroyed at the time when they was making all of the sets in them for them to be slaughtered. That's why Rome had to go and sacrifice everybody. Nobody left to sacrifice. Nero's like, fuck it, I'm going to burn it down and get the insurance on it. That's what he did. Read the story of Nero. We what happened after. What happened to his family. He did the same thing that the people in the truth movement say Silverstein did with 9/11. Cashed in on the insurance right before they blew it up. It's what they always do because it's the same people doing it. But when I say people, I'm not talking about the literal same people. Yeah, they probably got programs and stuff where they clone people and all that. But, again, so what? Whether it's real or unreal, doesn't really matter at this point. If they want to make it real, it'll be real. You know, the question is, what are you going to do? If they want to make you believe that it's real, they got enough strontium and barium in the atmosphere to be able to project whatever the hell they want in the sky. You think it's flying buffalo coming down from the sky if they want to. What are you going to do? What are you going to think it is? You going to think it's real? That's what I mean. What does it really matter? I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm being real. Like, if you are really in your government and you know that there is a creator and there is something called the universe that is a manifestation of that, and that the greater aspirations of yourself is a manner to be able to link yourself up with that ancient way of being that is really a future way of thinking, and that you're not wearing a costume. You feel good when you are in your habit. You understand? Only people Moors fight with is other Moors. When you see certain instances where Moors go deal with other Moors in certain situations, that's now cipher, and that's a modern phenomenon, and that's all fostered by fear and hate and money. So whatever, man. Because do and say what they want. I got to a point in my life where there was so much work and education being done by us in the street, just in passion, that I got to a point where I saw that I could evolve what I'm doing. If I can't evolve what I'm doing, then I'm going to stop. Because I'm not doing this just for money. And the little amount of what I ask is nothing compared to what is made. It's become $1 million industry, man. Whether you know it or not. Our community is almost I would say a 10 to about $20 million industry right now. Where's it going? Who benefits? Not me. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't come into this asking for nothing other than respect. So respect can't be given. Sometimes you gotta take it. And you take it by doing you. You gotta do you. If you can't do it, you got to find somebody that got the same hunger and vision and do it. They got to be unified with a central idea. You're dealing with a central intelligence agency. You understand? You're dealing with a national security agency that every hour and second of the day is listening to and watching everything you're doing, man. Porn sites, anything, how much you're spending, everything. You understand? They are impersonating Allah. That eye that you see and all that, that's the eye of the great God Allah. That ain't Weishaupt. There's a version of it that's Weishaupt, but it ain't him. It ain't Washington. But again, niggas see what they want to see. More see what is. So anybody wants to holler at us about nationalization, consultations, book signings, workshops, lectures, whatever, hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. Also check out www.aseerthejugateers.com for older lectures and stuff. Also check out www.darkskull418.com for the world's most dangerous comic book novel. Also check out www.cookingmorewithless.com and www.blackmambaworkouts. And inshallah, we'll get up with you guys. Stay tuned for Super Heru Radio 7.0. It's going to be a visual program with me and the Queen and I. And I think it's going to be dope. Long live the fighters, you know what I'm saying? Long live the faithful Moors. Long live those of us that know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel that's darker and that manifests into something so brilliant that we all won't have to experience at one time or the other. So until that day, let's do what we need to do to be the best human beings we can be. Because it's our job to uplift humanity. And we cannot uplift humanity if we all sleep in the floor with it. Peace.